Millions of years ago, the Earth remained a silent witness to the rise of truly massive terrestrial predators. Ancient trees touched the sky, while massive ferns created a dense green ceiling over the damp forest floor.
Grass stood taller than a modern human, creating a labyrinth where only the largest creatures could ever navigate.
The true rulers of this ancient world were gigantic beasts that defined the scale of life on Earth.
The camera moves slowly into a dense, humid jungle, where the air remains heavy with moisture and heat. A thin layer of mist covers the ground, hiding the movements of predators lurking within the deep shadows.
In the distance, a volcano releases dark smoke into the sky, signaling the volatile nature of this world.
Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble under the immense weight of a creature that dominates the local food chain.
This is no ordinary creature, but a massive carnivorous predator that hunts with precision and overwhelming physical power.
Steam escapes from its nostrils as the predator exhales cold air while searching for any sign of prey.
Hunger burns in its piercing eyes, while the creature scans the environment for its next vital meal source.
It is alone in this vast wilderness, driven by a biological need to find food and survive today.
And it is starving after days of unsuccessful hunting in a territory where every meal must be earned. A rustling sound breaks the silence as something moves within the dense brush just beyond the predator's sight. The camera shifts to reveal a new scene where the light hits the floor of the ancient forest.
In a clearing stands a gigantic herbivore, peacefully feeding on the lush vegetation that sustains its massive frame.
Its body is mountain-like, and its presence dominates the clearing as it consumes hundreds of pounds of plants.
Its tail is long and powerful, acting as both a counterbalance and a weapon against any potential threats.
Around it, a few young ones graze carefully, staying close to the protection of their massive mother's shadow.
It lowers its body into a crouch, using the natural terrain to hide its massive and deadly form.
The hunter moves silently through the brush, ensuring that no sound alerts the feeding giants to its presence.
Each step is calculated to maximize stealth as the distance between the hunter and the hunted steadily closes. Then the wind changes direction, carrying the scent of the predator directly toward the unsuspecting family of herbivores.
The herbivore suddenly lifts its head high as the chemical signals of danger reach its sensitive olfactory organs.
Its eyes widen with realization while it searches the dark tree line for the source of the threat.
It senses danger and immediately alerts the young ones to the presence of a predator in the area.
One moment of absolute silence falls over the jungle as the two species acknowledge the impending violent struggle.
Then the attack begins as the predator abandons its stealth for a display of raw speed and power.
The predator charges at full speed, covering the distance with terrifying efficiency and a singular focus on killing.
The earth shakes violently under the force of the charge, creating a seismic warning of the coming impact. Birds explode into the sky as the peace of the jungle is shattered by the hunter's aggressive advance.
The herbivore signals its young to retreat to safety, while it prepares to face the predator alone.
It steps forward alone, choosing to protect its offspring by becoming a living shield against the coming strike. Two giants now stand face to face, representing the eternal struggle between those who hunt and those hunted. A deafening roar echoes through the jungle, asserting the predator's dominance and intent to claim its latest prize.
Then a collision occurs as the two massive forces meet with enough power to break bone and stone.
Dust and leaves fill the air, obscuring the view, as the battle for survival turns into chaotic violence.
The predator strikes with powerful jaws, snapping forward in an attempt to find a weak point to bite. The herbivore counters with a massive swing of its tail, using the appendage like a heavy biological mace.
One strike lands heavily against the predator's ribs, testing the limits of its durability and will to fight.
Two strikes follow as the herbivore attempts to drive the persistent hunter away from its vulnerable young ones.
3 attempts to end the fight quickly fail as the predator dodges and weaves through the heavy attacks.
The predator stumbles momentarily, losing its footing as the sheer weight of the herbivore's defense takes its toll. But it refuses to fall as the drive for sustenance outweighs the pain of the herbivore's heavy strikes. With claws extended, it lunges again, targeting the softer underbelly of the giant herbivore with lethal intent.
Scratching and biting, the predator tries to bring the mountain of flesh down to the jungle floor today.
The jungle becomes a battlefield where 2 different biological strategies are tested to their absolute breaking points. Heavy breaths fill the air as both creatures suffer from exhaustion and the physical trauma of the fight. The metallic scent of blood fills the air, signaling that the fight has reached a critical turning point.
Neither is willing to surrender, as the instinct to live drives them to continue this brutal physical exchange.
The predator grips the leg of its prey, hoping to immobilize the giant and finish the hunt quickly. Suddenly, the herbivore gathers all its strength for a final effort to rid itself of the persistent attacker.
With one final devastating swing of its tail, and the herbivore aims for a decisive strike against the hunter. The sound of a crack echoes through the trees as the tail connects perfectly with the predator's head.
The predator is thrown violently to the ground, and its body tumbling across the dirt and broken jungle foliage.
It struggles to rise, but the force of the impact has caused severe damage to its internal organs.
It roars weakly one last time as the light begins to fade from its once piercing and hungry eyes.
Then silence returns to the clearing as the life force leaves the body of the once great ancient hunter.
The battle is over.
The herbivore stands wounded but alive, having survived an encounter that would have killed a lesser creature. Slowly it turns back to its young, calling them out from the safe of the dense jungle trees. Together they reunite as a family group, moving away from the site of the recent and violent struggle. They disappear into the dense jungle, continuing their search for food in a world that never truly rests. The camera lingers on the fallen predator, and a grim reminder of the high stakes of life and death.
Above, thunder rolls across the sky as a storm approaches to wash the battlefield clean of its history.
Rain begins to fall, washing the blood into the ancient soil, where it will eventually become part of.
The blood enters the earth, feeding the plants that will eventually feed the next generation of giant herbivores.
Millions of years ago, the world operated under a set of rules that prioritized strength and survival above.
There was no mercy in this landscape, where every calorie was contested by the most powerful biological machines. Every day was a fight for survival for the hunters and the hunted in equal measure across Pangaea.
Only the strongest endured, while the weak were quickly recycled back into the nutrient cycle of the earth.
This was the terrifying world of giant beasts, where the scale of life reached its absolute historical peak. And today their echoes remain buried beneath the earth in the form of fossilized bone and ancient stone. The story of this battle is written in the strata of the planet for those who know how. Over eons, the landscape changed, but the fundamental drive to survive remained a constant for all living things. They represent a lineage that would dominate the planet for millions of years before the great extinction events.
Even the smallest creatures in this era were larger than their modern counterparts due to the high oxygen. Waterways were just as dangerous as the jungles, providing no safe haven for any creature that was small. Nature is efficient, and soon the forest will reclaim the space where this epic struggle once took place.
Geological forces shape the world just as much as biological ones, creating a dynamic and deadly environment.
Small mammals watched from the shadows, waiting for their time to inherit a world ruled by giant reptiles.
The complexity of the prehistoric ecosystem allowed for a vast array of specialized roles and unique survival tactics. From the sky to the ground, and the presence of giants was felt in every corner of the planet. As night falls, a different set of rules begins to apply to the creatures of the ancient world. Bioluminescence provided the only light in the deep woods, where predators with night vision began their daily hunt. Hidden eyes watch the movement of anything that dares to move in the dark of the prehistoric night. Safety was found in numbers, and the strength of the herd was the primary defense against the night.
The stars witnessed the rise and fall of countless species over millions of years of Earth's long history.
The cycle of life is brutal, and the remains of those who failed the test are everywhere.
The sun returns to the jungle, bringing warmth and the promise of new opportunities for the living giants.
Today we look at these creatures with a way, trying to understand a world that is completely gone now.
The scale of these animals remains a mystery that science continues to investigate through the study of fossils.
Digital recreations allow us to visualize the intensity and the raw power of the ancient world's greatest battles.
Every discovery adds a new piece to the puzzle of how life evolved on this ever-changing blue planet.
Time has transformed the lush forests into dry deserts, but the evidence of the giants still remains today.
The struggle we witnessed was just one of billions that occurred during the age of the great dinosaurs.